a guy who played here and had a son play here and has a son that's still playing here. His name's Blaine Fowler, Uncle B. What's up, Blaine?
Hey, everything's good, man. I like that we're talking this the day after Father's Day.
Yeah, the day after
I think
Father's
it's really, really appropriate.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so you've had multiple sons play and are playing at BYU. So this is a personal topic to you, and we'll get to that with Kellen and Gavin. But and you had a son-in-law play at Stanford, even. So
yeah.
Dallas Lloyd. So who's the greatest father-son duo in BYU history, in your opinion?
You guys came up with some good ones. I have a hard time arguing with the Reynolds family just because of the depth. If we're talking depth of talent, that was good. I'm going to go just to something different. You guys mentioned this, you threw it out, but didn't discuss it much, is the Miller family. Johnny Miller, one of the greatest golfers in history. So he's right up there in terms of success after BYU with any athlete. You can compare him with anybody. Major championships, phenomenal, big name. And then his three boys all played here, Todd, Scott, and Andy. Andy was a 4-time All-American here. So if we're talking about performance, in collegiate golf, he was right at the top of the game, ranked in the top 5 in the country at one time. So I mean, that's depth of talent. We don't talk about golf that often, but we had a run with NCAA golf championships and playing there and playing for national championships for a period of time there. So I'm gonna give the Millers some credit for that. But then I have a question: why not the Whittinghams? Like. Just because Kyle's
they defected.
No, because
Go ahead, Blaine. You make that case.
We're not mad. We're not mad at Andy Reid for being with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Why would we?
So why are we mad that Kyle's
Why
like?
would we be very different?
Why
than
would
the
we be
U?
mad at Andy Reid for being with the Chiefs?
Color is just the beginning.
So Fred
He was stuck with
Fred
a new
Whittingham.
quarterback. He can't do anything about that.
Fred Whittingham, defensive coordinator here under Laval Edwards, phenomenal coach, one of the greatest coaches I've ever known, and he also happened to be the guy that recruited me to come to BYU. The guy that was in my home.
There it is.
With his Eastern ties to Boston. They sent a New Englander back to meet with me. He came and watched me play basketball, came to football.
The whole thing.
And so I have a really, really special place in my heart for Big Fred. Fred Sr. And he was a phenomenal coach. And then he went on to coach in the National Football League with John Robinson, with the Rams. And then, of course, Kyle has had this tremendous run of success at the University of Utah. So we got to claim him. We got to claim anybody that has success, even if they're at the enemy. You got to claim them
because of BYU.
Right, that's what we're saying. What we're saying is he learned his craft here at BYU, and he took it, and he's had tremendous success.
He learned to beat BYU because he played at BYU?
Yes.
No.
Well, and then Kerry was a great linebacker, starter on that '84 national championship team. Freddie was a fullback that contributed, and so. That's a pretty impressive family that has a great BYU heritage. And I got to say,
we're just
at Laval Edwards, when everybody got together for Laval Edwards' funeral and to get together, that whole Whittingham family was there and supporting that. And there's a different tone now with Kalani and Kyle. I'm not saying that they're together a lot, but I did see them playing golf at Riverside Country Club together last week.
And they're hanging out as we speak in a charity event for the Kennedy Foundation on the links.
We can claim Kyle. And we can claim that he got his foundation and his roots right here at BYU, and his dad, Fred, was a big part of BYU. So we can claim him. We'll claim his success.
You're turning a negative into a positive.
You're right.
Like
Blaine,
can't we claim him?
Blaine, you always come in here and bring knowledge and positivity, and it's just overwhelmingly great, and I love it.
So
Blaine Fowler.
So Whittingham, I'm putting the Whittinghams right up there, but
yeah.
I've got to admit, I just want to do something different than Shet, but I'm having a hard time arguing with the Reynolds.
It is fun.
There was like a Reynolds on BYU roster for like 70 years.
Yeah, I know. And they were
they
all
blocked for great young.
And they were all really, really good. And then you're talking about NFL guys too. And so not just success here, but success after is pretty big. But it's gonna be one. You mentioned this is gonna be one of the, we talk about this 25 years from now. It'll be one of the Collinsworth kids or one of the Kaufusi kids.
No, let's talk about the Kaufusis. Everyone knows Shea, right? Shea is the track star.
Shea Martinez, who I love because she's a Davis High.
You always bring up the darts.
So she and Kyle, they're gonna have people should be recruiting their kids right now, even though they don't have any. But what about Hillary Smith and Bronson Kaufusi?
No, Hillary was a starting goalkeeper for the women's
and unbelievably athletic. And she's
like,
long, she's tall,
like 5'10",
really athletic, and you combine that with Bronson. Let's recruit the kids right now. Like there should be letter of intent.
Hawaii offers already.
Hawaii just offered a fifth grader.
It's kind of like stock. It's options. We should have an option on those kids, on the Kaufusi kids for sure. And then if Bronson has, now we're going to be talking 3 generations, and then the Kaufusis are going to have it hands down. right?
Yeah, yes, and that's what I said. Kafusi.
I love how we're already putting
Millers.
expectations on children who have not even been born.
Hey, I'm telling you, that's when Bronson and Hillary got married, they raised the expectations right there. It's their fault.
Every one of Steve Kafusi's 5 kids have played D1 athletics.
Yeah,
Like Devin's going to get back
it's
to
phenomenal.
his mission to play football.
If you look
wild.
at a family, an extended family, with the nephews and cousins, Rich's kids, and between Utah and BYU, man, that's hard to beat the Kafusi family as a family that has had unbelievable football success, and a lot of it right here at BYU.
We mentioned that Friday is the BYU Football Media Day. I know there's going to be a lot of people in town. It's going to be a great day. It always is. What are some of the storylines you're looking to follow on Friday?
So it's interesting because the media day to me isn't really about what's going to happen in fall camp, because the coaches don't really know. They have an idea. Right now, it's been Nu'utafisi and his group that's had this team. These coaches are coaching football camps today, and so they really haven't been with these guys all summer. They're getting reports back from the off-season training. But really, to me, it's the turn the page day. It's the, hey, camps are behind. Now let's focus on this upcoming season. And we can realistically start doing the countdown now, coming Friday. But the thing I'm most interested in is
now we'll start.
Yeah. So I want to ask questions about the running back situation and what they're thinking about that going into fall camp, because that'll have a bearing on what happens, because the guys that they're putting in order will have reps in that order, and things may change. But I'm interested to hear what they're saying about the running back position. That's probably the one I'm most curious about going into fall. But I'm also really excited to see this Laval Edwards coaching tree program, because what a way to kick off the season, better than to honor Coach Edwards and what he's established here. And Kalani's really turned the focus back to building and standing on the shoulders of the people that have been here before. Kalani will focus on that on Friday as well. And what a great honor and tribute to Coach Edwards to look at what he has contributed to college and professional football through the guys he's brought in and tutored and sent out into the world to coach. So
it was interesting. And you mentioned football camps. 2 weeks ago, my 6-year-old was in the Cubs BYU football camp.
And he got a scholarship.
No, it's not.
Did he offer him?
I wish. No, he did not. But to your point, at the very end of the camp, Kalani was addressing the entire group. And he started it out by saying, do you guys know the name of this stadium? And everyone's, Laval Edwards Stadium. He's like, do you guys know who Laval Edwards is? And he went on to tell them how important of a person Laval Edwards was in his life. So this is something, to your point, that he talks about all the time, and it is always present with him.
Yeah, and what he's done is what you'll see on Friday is Kalani's done a phenomenal job of tying into the history and taking the good parts of that history and bringing it back around for support. And that is going to help, and it has helped already in the recruiting process and the perception of the program. I mean, people are talking about it all the time. So I was with Brady Whittingham the other day. We were out on the golf course, and Brady says, man, I'm having a really, really hard time not liking BYU right now. Brady Whittingham said that, which he's got roots here too, and so Kalani reaches across so many different areas, yes. And he's gathering the alumni together. He's taking advantage of the phenomenal history that this program has, and he's standing on those shoulders and building the program from there, which I think is really, really smart. And we're already seeing the fruits of that in his recruiting efforts, getting a lot of commitments for not only the class that just happened, but for future classes. People are catching the vision. He's doing a great job with that. And this tribute to Laval is just one more thing that, where you say, hey, look at where this program has been, and it can do even greater things if you come here. And so I think it's a great showcase, and talking about Laval and putting people like Andy Reid out there to talk about his experience here, and those types of folks that are visible and kids know about. They watch them on the sidelines as they're watching NFL games. Those types of people being around, that just helps this program in a big, big way.
Yeah, Laval will always be remembered, and what greater thing than to have the stadium there, so that every BYU home football game, you're live from the place, the house that Laval built, essentially. Blaine Fowler's on BYU Sports Nation. What does it mean to have played at BYU and to have your sons have played, and in the case of Gavin, is still playing at BYU?
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. So just to have the opportunity, like I always wait for my boys when they've been in the program to get the opportunity to run out of the tunnel the first time, because it's an exhilarating feeling that never gets old. to run out of the tunnel for your first time at a home game in that uniform is something special. It's really, really cool. So I get the chills when they do that. So if we're doing an opener or doing something on TV, I have to say, hey, guys, you got to wait a second. I have to watch this. The first time they run out of that tunnel, it's like everything's on hold. Dave McCann, Jarom, you guys take it right now because I got to watch this because it's as cool for me as it is for them. So, and Kellen had a great run of success here as a starter for a couple years on some really, really good football teams. And Gavin, we just haven't been able to keep him healthy. He's coming back from a second ACL, should get last year back and have 2 years left, and wanting to contribute in a big way. If we can keep him healthy, I think he can. But more importantly than do they get out on the field and are they superstars is the family that they become part of because they played there. And it's just like, it doesn't matter. It's not just the guys that I played with back in the early 80s and mid 80s that I have this brotherhood with. It's any player that ever played at BYU from before I was there till now. And once you get a chance to play and you're part of that, you become part of that brotherhood, which is really a cool thing for the rest of your life, that network of folks. And Kalani's doing a phenomenal job of making that happen and continuing on with what Laval and what Bronco did and making that family environment there. So I'm excited that they get to be a part of that, to be a part of that brotherhood. So, hey, now they're not just my sons, they're my brothers at BYU, right?
I want to switch gears just a little bit. Friday's BYU Media Day. The night before is pretty big, especially for those looking to make the next step from college basketball to NBA basketball. It's the NBA draft on Thursday night. The question Cougar fans are wanting to know is what happens with Eric Mika now that we're just 4 days away from him possibly being drafted. What do you think's going to happen with Eric Mika on Thursday night?
So would I be surprised? He's had some really good workouts, individual workouts, where he's gone along, and he's done a lot of them. You guys have been keeping track of that. The draft is an interesting thing, especially when you get into the second half of the second round. It just takes one team, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, to go, man, we really like that guy's potential. We think he has the range to play the 4 in this league. This is our third pick in the draft, maybe at the end of the second round, let's take him. So would I be surprised if he's drafted in the second half of that second round? No, I wouldn't be surprised by it. My expectation going in is that he's not drafted and he signs as a free agent and then gets a chance to prove that he does have that kind of range and he can face up and he can handle the ball and do all those things that he'd need to do as a 4 in the league. So that's my expectation, and it hasn't really changed, although all of this exposure around the league has made me think, well, because if you would have asked me a month ago, I would have said there's no way he's getting drafted. Now I'm saying, so you're telling me there's a chance. Exposure means there's a chance. And you know what? Does it really matter? If you're drafted in the second half of the second round or a free agent, does it really matter?
It'd just be nice for our BYU guys got drafted.
It doesn't really matter because there's no guarantees for second rounders anyhow. And now I think those guys are all kind of in the same boat. Maybe the first couple of picks of that second round, which we're not going to be up that high. And the first rounders have guaranteed money. But it's once you get there, it would be nice to have him. I would jump up and down for him. I'd be pumped for him because I know the way Eric works. I've watched him over the last couple of years before his mission and how he worked when he came back from his mission. Somebody doesn't take note of that. And I think they have. When you hear people comment, scouts, where he's going for workouts, they all comment, man, this kid knows how to work. Well, something to be said for that because there's a lot of kids that don't know how to work. And if you have a guy that has potential, that has his length, has his hands, can run the floor, maybe somebody takes a shot and takes him in the back half of that second round. But my expectation is he doesn't get drafted, but I won't be surprised, and I'll be the first jumping up and down for him if he gets drafted in the second round.
We've got about a minute left, but I watched the Celtics-Lakers 30 for 30 over the weekend. Which
I watched it too.
It's so awesome. Good.
Yeah, it is amazing.
And there are 3 BYU guys kind of in the middle of that. Obviously, Danny Ainge, Greg Kite, Fred Roberts. What was it like in the 80s to have those 3 kind of repping the Y on the Celtics?
It was awesome to have NBA guys out in the league and to basically verify how good they were. They lost to Ralph Sampson, but what a great run in the NCAA tournament. Danny's shots against Notre Dame and UCLA are still legendary, but at the time if there was an ESPN top 10, I don't know if there was back then, I can't remember that far back, but it would have been the number 1 play both times. It was really cool to have that connection into the NBA with BYU players. And man, I sure would love to see, a guy like Eric Mika make it so we can have a tie in the NBA back to this university.
That'd be awesome. This just in from one at B Ryan Logan 7. What about Uncle Nephew?
B stands for biceps. Yeah, if it's Uncle Nephew.
At Blaine at B Fowler 16.
If it's Uncle Nephew, then what about my nephew Brian Logan and I?
What about Jason's claim of being the uncle of Eric Mika?
Yeah.
Oh, you're the uncle.
kind of uncle.
Because your wife babysat him?
Babysat his wife. So that kind of makes us related.
Gabby?
Yeah.
You sort of are.
I mean, essentially, that means we're related.
This is quite the stretch in both cases.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Brian Logan is my nephew. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Just
That's
like
my name.
Kalani Satake is my cousin. Blaine?
Brian, I'm not backing up. Brian is my nephew. I taught him how to tie a tie. Doesn't that make him my nephew?
That's more of a father-son thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Blaine, we appreciate the time, man.
Good to be with you guys.